see here. John, you voted against the Iraq War because there was not clear evidence that there were weapons of mass destruction. Saddam Hussein was funding terrorists against Israel, violating UN sanctions, and possessed long-range missiles that were in violation of UN requirements. At what point does provocation justify a military response?
At what point does provocation elicit a military response? Provocation does, in the sense that John Jay spoke in Federalist Paper number 2. I said that the just causes of war are direct violence and violation of treaties. As a result of the Iraq War, the United States has entered a new era, the era of preemptive war, where we decide that we will go in and initiate military conflict with a foreign state after not being touched by that foreign state, after not being subject to either of those two prior issues that were the history of the United States, that were tenets of the history of the United States from its founding. James Monroe talked about this, what we do in the other hemisphere. John Quincy Adams talked about this idea of not using our military to gain the liberty for other people. We are in a new era today, unfortunately, where the rest of the world will operate just like the United States. And Russia did that when they invaded Georgia. And they looked at the United States that questioned them about that and said, Georgia is right next door to us. We feel that Georgia is a threat to us. We are preemptively entering Georgia to put down a rebellion in Georgia. How can the United States, who went halfway around the world to preemptively strike Iraq, tell us that we can't go into our neighbor and defend ourselves against provocation? So we have set the standard in the world today. And we have set the standard, unfortunately, that will be turned over and over and over again in the world. And so I believe that we should return to those principles that John Jay spoke about, that James Monroe, John Quincy Adams talked about. A limited military policy that says we will only strike a country when our vital national security interests are threatened. We had Operation Northern Watch and Operation Southern Watch going in Iraq. We had Saddam Hussein contained, but in fact we ultimately invaded him and found no presence of weapons of mass destruction.
Thank you. Just got a note that that's the mic that everybody wants you guys to use.
Okay.
How's that? Marla, I like this. This is a good question. The public being able to view war scenes in real time has altered the way America fights wars. Good thing CNN wasn't there at Omaha Beach. Close attention paid to reducing civilian losses. With this philosophy, do you believe the war in Afghanistan, Iraq, and any future engagements are winnable because they're real-time views? Why or why not?
Yes, I think they are winnable, and they should be winnable. We have the American military. And I think what we have to do is go in, and if we're going to decide to go into a place like Iraq or a place like Afghanistan or Pakistan or whatever we decide, whatever our generals and our president ultimately decides to do, we need to go in with the full force and power of the American military. Take care of business and then get our troops back out. This is war. It's not pretty. I've not served in the military, but I have heard from my family members, from my friends and neighbors who have, war is tough. And just because the media is there and portraying it however they would like to, we have a responsibility to our men and women that are a part of our military. And so I believe that it can be and that it should be.
Thank you. I like that question. I want the rest of the three of you guys to answer what you view the media's role in war. Should we be given this real-time stuff? I know it was going on in Vietnam and stuff that started, I believe, but it somehow seems to, the public just seems to say, you know what, stop it, we've had enough. Like I referenced, man, Omaha Beach, we lost a bunch. And if they would have been there, we would have pulled out 6 hours after we were sitting in there in the trenches. But What do you guys think? Go ahead, Rich, you start. What do you think about the media and wars?
Well, first of all, I got to say, I disagree with John here. I don't believe that America has set a negative precedent. America has answered the call. The world is a much safer place because America has stood up and answered the call, period. You know, we're in a situation right now where a nuclear Iran is unthinkable. It would be unbearable. And to sit down and try to have a conversation with a madman who has literally stood on our front lawn and told us that he's going to kill us, I wouldn't allow that in my front yard. All right, I believe we should take him at his word. And I believe we should have told him that if he builds it, we will come, not have a conversation. You know, I believe the military has 3 mandates. You know, that's to break things, kill the enemy, and come home victorious as soon as possible. War is a bloody thing. And that's why our Constitution speaks on the seriousness of it. That's why as a people, yes, we should have a conversation as a people and declare war. When we decide to spend our national treasure, our monies, and our blood, we must have a conversation. But when we decide to dump those Army men out, we should allow them to go and do the job and get it done. And it's going to be bloody and it's going to be ugly. That's the way war is. And so it is a little bit of a negative effect that the media is allowed to play that game and play on our emotions. But war is hell. You guys know the sayings, war is hell. But if we allow our commanders to do the job at bay, go in there, get the job done, and come home victorious as soon as possible, that's what's best for America.
Our federal government does so many things that exceed what the Constitution said it should do. One thing that it does do is it provides for the common defense. And we have seen throughout the history of this country, Americans sacrificing their lives, their fame, their fortune, their families, to rise to the call of duty at a time of crisis. And throughout our history, that call has always been answered. And Americans support that. You know, our Constitution also, in the First Amendment, allows for freedom of the press. I'm sure there are exceptions to that all 4 of us would like to shut down, but that is a constitutional right. Sometimes what the press says and doesn't say is painful, but the American people are smart enough, they are wise enough, they see the world. They know that we have a responsibility through our military to provide for our safety from both threats from abroad and threats at home. And so strengthening our military and providing for the common defense is a constitutional duty and responsibility. And I'm confident that the American people see it for what it is, that they have seen what we're trying to do. This running around the world by our current president, apologizing for America, the America that has kept us free and given us our liberties, the America that has provided freedom and liberty to tens and hundreds of millions of people around this world at the sacrifice of our soldiers' blood, at the loss of life and the grief to the families, all that they have done. To denigrate that or diminish that, I think is wrong. Americans will not do that. One of the great things that has happened in regards to our returning troops. You see it in every airport across the country where Americans stand and clap and cheer and praise those people who have worn the uniform, who've gone overseas and fought for this country, fought for the liberty of others, and fought for our beliefs and what we stand for as a country. Those people need to be honored, and they are being honored by Americans. And CNN can show all they want, and MSNBC can put all the garbage on there that they want to put on there. Thank God for Fox, number one, that gives us an alternative view. And more importantly, thank God for all of us as Americans who support those troops and welcome them back home and integrate them back into our society and say, you are fighting for us and we appreciate it and love you for it.